my little crafty monsters, how's everybody doing today? I hope everybody is fabulous. So, in today's fabulous tutorial, he's never going to stop that. He is never going to stop that. No, he's not. But in today's tutorial, we are going to be making some little Halloween potion bottles. Now, I know there's a lot of tutorials out there, my little crafty monsters, of like people making these little potion bottles and stuff like that. But, we've never made them, and we're going to make them today, boo-boos. But we didn't use our traditional bottles because at the Dollar Trees where I went to, they didn't really have that much of like a selection of bottles and stuff. So let me show you. We're going to turn these little bad boys. Now I know that these are like an oil bottle, and I don't know what this is. It's like an old Coke bottle or whatever. And this little guy, well, I don't know what he was either. Does it say in the bottom on the label? They do not say what they are. Anyhow, boo-boos, we are going to make these. We are going to make these look super duper cute. We're also going to make this one. Now the three I just showed you, those we're going to go ahead and paint those, and we're going to go ahead and make a label out of our own little printer. And on this one, we are not going to paint this one because we are going to stuff these little eyeballs into this little jar, and then we're going to go ahead and decorate it. And I also went ahead and I picked up these little skulls and these little bad boys. And so we're going to go ahead and get crafting, boo-boos. I know you guys want to get down and dirty now, so let's get down and dirty, boo-boos, and I will see you in a bit. Alrighty then, my little crafty monsters, let's get down and dirty and make these little bad boys right here. So we are going to start off by getting some of this acrylic paint. We're going to pour a really good amount inside this bottle, and we're going to move this around so it basically coats all the inside of the bottle. Why is Jesse doing this to the bottles? Because I'm glad you asked me, my little crafty monsters. Because when you spray paint a glass, it doesn't matter what kind of spray paint you guys use. I have done this to so many different kind of glasses, and I get the same results. So when you spray paint a glass, and any little thing that kind of touches or scratches, even your fingernail, if you scratch the glass, you will automatically peel off the spray paint. And so if you peel off the spray paint, you're going to have a chance of, the clear glass showing. This way, if these bottles ever get scratched or they ever get the paint taken off from the outside, you will never ever get to see that because the inside is also painted black. So that is why I am painting the inside as well as the outside. Now, we are not using acrylic for the outside because that would just be really, really bad because the acrylic will all peel off like if you were doing a facial. And if you do the spray paint, at least it will all not come off at one peeling. It will just scratch on the area where it got scratched. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and just move this around. Now this part is a little bit time consuming because you do have to allow that paint to kind of like slowly ooze around that bottle to cover it, but it is doable. And if you guys wanted it just to stay like this, the shiny black like this, I mean, you could just stop at this point right here. But Jesse wanted it to be a little bit more of a semi-matte kind of look. I didn't want it too shiny, and I didn't want it completely matte. I wanted it sort of in between, and this is why we are going to go ahead and spray paint the outside as well. Now, once we have these little bad boys all painted from the inside, we're going to go ahead and set these aside so the inside of that bottle will get a chance to kind of dry a little bit. And then we are going to work on this chubby little jar. This little chubby jar, we are going to use this to make like a jar of eyeballs. And this little jar as well, we did purchase this at the Dollar Tree. All of these bottles we purchased at the Dollar Tree. And as a matter of fact, most of all of the little items that we are using to put onto these little bottles were also from the Dollar Tree. So you could basically get bottles from anywhere, guys. You guys could go to your local Goodwill store. I mean, I bet you those secondhand stores would have some really, really amazing bottles, and even bottles that would look more like a potion bottle than these. We are using an oil bottle, and we are using this Coke kind of looking style bottle, and then the other little one which looks like a little miniature, kind of like a whiskey bottle. But these were all purchased at the Dollar Tree, so it was a lot easier just to go to one place. But like I said, guys, if you guys have a Goodwill or something around, go take a look there first and see if you guys don't find any interesting bottles you could do. So right here, we just filled up this jar with the little eyeballs that we also purchased from the Dollar Tree. I didn't really get too crazy about the eyeballs in there. I didn't really care if they didn't look too realistic. These are like some ping pong kind of little eyeballs. But anywho, now that little metal skull, that is a skull that we purchased from the 99.999 store. And those little charms that you guys see to my right hand side, those were purchased at Z Michael's. And the reason why we are also using elements from the other stores is because I didn't find little charms at the Dollar Tree, and I definitely didn't find a big skull like this at the Dollar Tree. So you kind of have to go around to different stores. But I will tell you this, we did buy everything that was either on clearance or was on sale, even those charms. Those charms, believe it or not, when I went into Michael's, all the little bracelet accessories and the necklace, because these were in the jewelry section, they were all 50% off. So I said, hey, we could definitely buy this, and we could definitely buy something else and use our coupon. So we kind of scored on that day. So right here, this is really easy, guys. This is also optional. Now, you don't have to cover the lid with this little, this little hem twine or yarn or whatever it's called. But I wanted to do this because I wanted to kind of give it more like a little rustic kind of look, and it just kind of makes it pull everything together. And we are going to do this with two of our other potion bottles. So don't put this away, little crafty monsters, because you will be needing this for the other two bottles. And I'm just going to go ahead and just go all the way along. And I'm also going to go a little bit on the very, very top of this, just to kind of like secure the jute twine or whatever it's called. Am I even saying that right? No, I'm not saying that right. I'm just making up stuff. It's okay, little crafty monsters. We like to make up stuff here. We use our creative mind for creative languages. That's what we're doing here. So, I don't want you guys to think, oh, well, Jesse's only creative because, he create stuff. But no, he's creative even with his vocabulary. Oh my god. But do not use my vocabulary on professional settings, my little crafty monsters, because people will look at you like, what is wrong with you? And then you're gonna have to explain to them, oh, well, I watched this guy Paper to Masterpiece. Oh, well, maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe you should do that. Everybody talk like me. Everybody. And if somebody corrects you, you just tell them about Paper to Masterpiece. Anyway, continue, guys. You guys are derailing right here, my little crafty monsters. So, we got this little tool, and this was purchased at Z Michael's. Now, I've had this for a while. So, I like to use this because it has a sparkle to it. And all I'm going to do is do little clusters here and there. You don't have to get too crazy of filling up the lid of this. I mean, you could if you really want to, but in this case, we're not going to. I'm just going to use up all the tool that I used. All the tool that I cut. Because I want to make sure that, it looks a little nice. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting this all the way around. You're going to notice that there are areas where there's not going to be some of this little tool, but I'm not too worried about that because this will be covered with the skull. The skull will be on top of this, and you're not even going to be able to see all of that little opening. Trust me. Not to mention the lid is silver and that skull is silver, so it kind of like blends in. Like Jesse knew what he was doing, boo boo. Let me tell you this. I'm just kidding. Don't believe him. He really didn't. It just happened. So right here I'm using the E6000 and a little bit of the hot glue. Now we use the hot glue just to keep that in place until the E6000 cures and it really gets a hold of that. And so for this little project, we are almost completely done. We are just going to add a little charm. For some reason, I don't remember. I really don't remember where I went. It could have been Michael's. or it could have been Joanne's. But I saw these little potion bottles, and each potion bottle had a little charm. Now, some of them had like a little spider charm, others had a little skull, the other ones had like little bones, crossbones, and I mean, I just thought they were so cute. So I went on a hunt. I went on a hunt to try to look for some little charms. Now, these are kind of small. These are like bracelet size, but these were better than nothing because honestly, I could not find the charms anywhere. And I was definitely not going to wait for something to come in the mail. My little crafty monsters, if I would have ordered the ones I really wanted, we would have never been able to make this video. So we had to work with what we found. And so I'm just using the thinner little twine, the jute twine. Is that jute twine? Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Don't judge me. And so we're using that to attach our little charm. That's it for this little for that bottle. So now we are outside and we are going to go ahead and spray paint the outside of these little bottles. Now, like I said, this is going to be kind of like a semi-gloss. It's not going to be glossy and it's not going to be completely matte. So once you spray paint these, leave these out there so that they could dry about 3 hours or more. And then we could come back inside, and now we could go ahead and start working on these little bad boys. And these are the bottles. See how they kind of have like, I want to say almost like a satin finish. I want to say that, but I don't really think that's the proper description for this. So we're just going to stick with semi-gloss. These little labels, I went on to Google and I just looked up free printable labels, and I found these little bad boys right here, and we just went ahead and print them out with our printer, and we are going to go ahead and cut these. Now, those labels, I did print those out on regular copy paper because I wanted them to be thin, so when I add the Mod Podge to attach these to the bottles, it won't have such a hard time fighting me on the curves of this bottle. So make sure that you guys use a thinner paper, because once the paper is moist from the Mod Podge, it is going to be easier for you to smooth out the edges for when you put this onto the actual bottle itself. And so right here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. Now for the square one over there, that one we already had one of those for the little embellishments. So that is on a thicker cardstock. So you will notice I'll kind of soak that one with the Mod Podge a little bit more. So now we're just going to go ahead and attach this little closing mechanism from this bottle. We took it off so that we can go ahead and paint and spray paint it. But now that everything is dry, we'll go ahead and work that. I just sandpapered it just so that it could be rough. So when I glue something on top of that, it will stick onto that. This is that little oil bottle. We're just going to use the tube, but we're going to put the tube from the inside, and that little rubber part, that's just going to hold that little cap into place until we kind of glue the outside. You guys will see. You guys won't be able to see anything like that. So just go ahead and stick that little bad boy into the bottle. And then you guys could go ahead and just glue. I mean, you could probably discard this. Honestly, you probably don't need it. I don't even know why I stuck it in the bottle, but I did. And so right here, we're just going to go ahead and use some hot glue to glue the bottle, the cap of the bottle. And also to attach this little hemp twine, I don't know, this rope. We're gonna call it rope. That's what it is, just it's rope. So we're gonna go ahead and just attach this the same way that we did to the first jar where we made the little eyeballs, the eyeball jars. We're going to do the same thing on this. And like I said, we are also going to do this for that other little bottle, the one that does not have a cap. And the reason why I did it more for that bottle was because it didn't come with a cap. None of these bottles have caps. So we are just going to make it look like there's a cap on that bottle. And so right here, I'm just going to go ahead and look for some eyes. That's what Jesse is doing. He's in the closet looking for some certain eyeballs that we were going to use for this project. For some reason, I don't know what happened. I kind of like spaced it and I forgot. So as soon as I decide, as soon as I find these little bad boys, we can continue. So these are them. They were a little bit more, smaller, and they were made out of rubber. They were kind of like a little ball. And so I think they were like one of those little balls that you usually put like in the party favor bags. So anywho, I'm going to go around the whole entire thing just to kind of like cover that whole entire lid just so you won't be able to see it, because the ball, that little eyeball, is really not that big. So I want to make sure that it's basically just looks like it's sitting on top of this little, rope. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around until I get to the very, very center. Now, the very center, you don't really have to worry too much about that. I'm going to really put a lot of little glue on that and a lot of E6000. Right here, I just use some hot glue to attach these little spiders, just to give it like a little bit more extra element to this. And then we are going to go ahead and add some E6000 and a little bit of the hot glue a little bit later. Right here, I realized that I'm going to need some hot glue. The reason why is because that rope kind of was absorbing the glue. It won't absorb the silicone glue, but it does the E6000. So you guys are going to see later on, I will be adding some hot glue around that little eyeball. And so right here, this is that other little bottle that I was telling you guys about that did not have a lid. This is the bottle that we're going to go ahead and do this so that it kind of, like I said, gives it sort of almost like if it had a lid on this, even though it really doesn't. And then we're going to go ahead and continue doing this all the way around the rim of this. And then we are going to go ahead and attach like a little spider on top of this. So I'm not really too worried about closing that hole. I mean, if you really wanted to, you guys could continue to make that, and and you could close it with the rope and the hot glue. Trust me, I've done it before. But right here, I really wasn't too worried about it because the spider that we're using is fairly big. I like using this little spider because it is like a little glittered one, so it's basically adding a little accent of glitter to these bottles. And so right here, you notice I'm adding more E6000 because, like I said, that rope basically was kind of absorbing it. So then I realized that, and I said, you know what, this is going to need some hot glue. And that's where we bring in the hot glue to hold that the little eyeball down until that E6000 cures and holds that into place. We're going to do the same thing to this little spider just so that it doesn't go anywhere. And we're going to hold that for like a little bit. You're not going to go nowhere, little crafty monster. Sit your little butt down, because you want to make sure that that kind of like sticks onto them. And so we're just going to add a little skull onto the very top of this bottle. We're not really doing too much onto this bottle because that little closing mechanism, I like how it looks and all that stuff. So we kind of want to just keep it pretty plain like that. And so I'm adding some E6000 to where that skull is going to touch the plastic. And in the very center, I add some hot glue so that it holds the skull into place. And so once all these little bad boys are done, we are going to go ahead and start attaching the labels onto these bottles. And so we need some Mod Podge for that and a paintbrush. And we don't need a lot of Mod Podge, I'm telling you, my little crafty monsters, because it's very thin paper and, and you don't need a lot. And so what I'm doing is I'm just adding some in the inside of the paper just so that it attaches to the bottle. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more Mod Podge on the very top. Now just remember, this dries clear, so you don't really have to worry. It works as two things. It's going to stick that label onto the bottle and keep it there permanently. And it also puts a little layer of gloss on top of that paper, so it basically kind of protects it from weathering and stuff. And so right here, you're going to notice I'm going to add a lot of Mod Podge on the back of this one because that is a 65-pound or thicker cardstock. And so it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of bend the edges around the corners of that square, but it is doable, and I did do it, so you could do it too, my little crafty monsters. And once these have dried, you guys, now all we have to do is just add our little charm onto these little guys, and we are going to be completely done. So we're going to go ahead and use the thinner twine to attach the little charms onto this, and then we're going to just tie it in a knot. Like, honestly, there's really nothing to it, my little crafty monsters. I'm kind of leaving a little slack, if you've noticed, so that the charm is just basically kind of dangling down. But I do that on purpose because I want that charm to have a little bit of a, just a little bit of a slack, so it could kind of like swing on the bottle. If you guys notice, that's basically what it's doing. And I don't really have to worry too much about getting too crazy about the knots on this because, honestly, to tell the truth, these are decorations. And most likely they are going to be placed somewhere
and they're not really going to be messed with or even touched. So I'm not really getting too crazy about like attaching the glue, the little charm with glue and all that stuff. We're just going to tie a knot and we are going to call it a day, my little crafty monsters. And so now we are working on the second one, and then we are going to do the third one, and we are completely done. I'm kind of trying to lay it down so that I can show you guys what it looks like. Isn't that cute? I really, really love how these bottles came out. I honestly feel that you guys should definitely grab the kiddos, run to your little Dollar Tree, or if you guys don't run like Jesse doesn't run, walk really fast, power walk, and buy some supplies so you guys could make some. There's nothing cuter than kids participating on making their own Halloween decorations and seeing their faces when you display it around your house. Trust me, it's worth it. So these are the bottles we make today, my little crafty monsters, and
Welcome
I hope
back,
you
my
liked
little
it.
crafty monsters. That's how easy it was to make those awesome little bottles. I hope that inspires you guys to make some. I mean, I know that they're already out there. Like, you could purchase them already made and stuff. But when you make them, it's your own little thing, you know? That's like something to be proud of and display in your home. And then also, too, if you get the little kiddos to help you guys make some of these, that makes it even more special. Could you imagine? They're decorating their house with their creations. So, like I said, I hope that inspires you guys to make some of these little bad boys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and hit that little icon. It's a picture of moi. And we become BFFFFFs. Because I know BFs is good. BFs is good, boo-boo. But BFFFF is even better. So I know you guys want to be my BFFFF. So go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. And since you're already there, hit the little bell icon, because that's your notification for upcoming videos that I put out, boo-boos. And you don't want to miss on those. And go ahead and give us a thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps us grow. Hello, we want to grow, boo-boos. And tell a friend, because your friends need to know how awesome Paper to Masterpieces. And that's it for now, my little crafty monsters. Until next time, goodbye.